She had been married for 22 years, and in 9 months, she saved $4,700 without her husband ever finding out. But what she did is so simple, most people don't believe it when they hear it. Dorothy was standing in the middle of the grocery store aisle on a Tuesday afternoon, holding a can of tomato soup in one hand and her phone in the other, doing math in her head the way she had done every single week for the past 2 decades. $14 for ground beef, $6 for the bread, $3.50 for the milk, $2 and change for the soup. She put the soup back. She put the bread back too. She stood there for a long moment, her cart half full, her chest tight, and she thought about how she used to love coming to this store. Back when she was young and newly married, and money felt like something that would eventually sort itself out. Back when she believed that love was enough to hold a life together. Now she was 47 years old, working as a school cafeteria cook from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, 5 days a week, and every dollar she earned passed through her hands like water through a cracked cup, gone before she could feel it. Her husband, Gerald, wasn't a bad man. She needed you to understand that before anything else. He wasn't cruel. He didn't hit her. He went to work at the auto parts warehouse most mornings and came home most evenings and sat in front of the television and asked what was for dinner. But he controlled the money, every cent of it. Not in a way that anyone on the outside could see clearly. He didn't lock her out of the bank account. He didn't hide the bills. He just made all the decisions. He decided what they could spend. He decided what was necessary and what was a luxury. He decided when she needed something and when she was being dramatic about it. Dorothy's paycheck went into the joint account every 2 weeks. Gerald gave her a grocery budget. Whatever was left over, he managed. Saved it, he said. Invested it, he said. Building their future, he said. She had never once seen a statement. She had never once been asked what she thought their future should look like. And that Tuesday afternoon, standing in the grocery aisle, with the tomato soup back on the shelf, and the bread back on the shelf, and her heart somewhere down around her knees, Dorothy thought a thought she had never let herself think before. What if I disappear from this marriage and I have nothing? What if something happens and I have no money of my own, not a single dollar, and I am 47 years old and I have nowhere to go? She put the cart back. She bought only what she absolutely needed. She drove home in silence. And something in her had shifted, quietly, like a door opening just 1 inch. Dorothy Mae Chambers had grown up in a small town in rural Ohio, the second of 4 daughters, in a house where her mother worked the breakfast shift at a diner and her father did seasonal farm work when he was well enough. She had learned early that women in her family took care of things. They cooked. They stretched a dollar until it begged for mercy. They didn't complain. They didn't ask for more than what was given. They were grateful, and they were quiet, and they kept the household running like a machine that nobody noticed until it stopped. Dorothy had carried all of that into her marriage at 25 years old. She had carried it into the cafeteria kitchen, where she spent her mornings making scrambled eggs and sloppy joes for 800 school children. She had carried it into her home on Birchwood Lane, into the routines she kept without being asked, into the way she folded Gerald's shirts and tracked the utility bills and made sure there was always something warm on the stove when he came through the door. Her dream was specific and small, and she almost never said it out loud. She wanted to take her sister Pauline to see the ocean. Pauline had been sick 2 years before, a health scare that had turned out to be manageable, but had left Dorothy with a permanent awareness of time. Pauline had never seen the ocean. Dorothy had never seen the ocean. They had talked about it once, years ago, laughing about it the way you laugh at things you don't actually believe will happen. Dorothy believed it could happen. She just didn't know how. She had $312 in a savings account Gerald didn't know about. She had been adding to it in amounts so small they disappeared into the grocery math, $5 here, $8 there, since her youngest son had left for college 2 years ago. $312 in 2 years. At that rate, she would need another 12 years to have enough for 2 plane tickets and a hotel room by the sea. She was 47 years old. Pauline was 52. Time was not a luxury either of them had in abundance. The moment that broke something open happened on a Thursday night in February. Dorothy was at the kitchen table after dinner, going through the grocery receipts the way she always did, making sure everything matched the budget Gerald had set. She was also, quietly, trying to figure out if she could shift $3 or $4 into her secret account without it showing anywhere. Gerald came in from the living room and stood behind her. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Just going through the receipts," she said. He pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. He had a look on his face she recognized. Not anger, worse than anger. Patience. The kind of patience that meant he had already decided something. "I've been looking at the account," he said. "The grocery spending has been inconsistent." Dorothy felt the air change in the room. "I just try to get the best prices," she said carefully. "I know you do," he said. "But some months you're coming in under and some months you're over, and I can't plan if the numbers aren't consistent. So starting next month, I'm going to handle the grocery shopping myself." She looked at him. He meant it. She could see that he meant it completely. "Gerald," she said slowly, "I have been doing the grocery shopping for this family for 22 years. And I appreciate that," he said. "But I'm better with numbers. You know that. I'll make a list, I'll go on Saturdays, and you won't have to worry about it." She wanted to say something. She had words lined up behind her teeth, whole sentences, arguments, the quiet fury of a woman who has managed a household budget on a razor's edge for 2 decades, being told she's not good with numbers. But she looked at his face, and she swallowed it all. "Okay," she said. That night she lay in bed and stared at the ceiling and understood something clearly for the first time. The small freedom she had, the grocery budget, the tiny margins she had been working with, was about to be taken away, and with it, any chance of adding to those $312. She thought about Pauline. She thought about the ocean. She cried very quietly so Gerald wouldn't hear. 2 weeks later, she discovered something that made the crying seem small. She was looking for the car insurance card in the filing cabinet Gerald kept in the den, and she found a folder she had never seen before. Investment accounts, retirement funds, numbers she had never been shown. Gerald had been saving, significantly, for years. In his name only. Dorothy stood in the den with the folder in her hands, and she did the math. Not the grocery math, the real math. The math of what her life would look like if this marriage ended tomorrow, if something happened to Gerald tomorrow, if she needed to leave tomorrow. She had $312. He had accounts she had never been allowed to see. She put the folder back exactly where she found it. She found the insurance card. She closed the cabinet. She went to the kitchen and she started dinner, and her hands were shaking the whole time. The following Saturday, Gerald did the grocery shopping. He came home with 2 bags, proud of himself, and Dorothy looked at what he had bought and spent the rest of the afternoon quietly supplementing it with things from the pantry so dinner would actually be possible. She didn't say a word. Sunday morning she went to church alone, the way she had done for years since Gerald stopped going. She sat in her usual spot, 3rd pew from the back on the left side, and she got through the service the way you get through things when your mind is somewhere else entirely, present in body, absent in every other way. Afterward, in the parking lot, she sat in her car and could not make herself drive home. She sat there for a long time. Long enough that the parking lot emptied out. Long enough that an old woman who had been sitting on the bench near the church door, apparently waiting for someone, walked slowly over and knocked on the passenger window. Dorothy startled. She rolled down the window. The woman was in her mid-70s, small and unhurried, wearing a yellow coat that had seen better decades. She had the kind of face that had been through things and had decided not to be bitter about it. "You've been sitting here a while," the woman said, not unkindly. "Just as a fact." "I know," Dorothy said. "I'm sorry. I was just thinking." The woman looked at her for a moment. "You can drop me at Elm Street if you're going that way. My son forgot to pick me up. Dorothy wasn't going that way. She said yes anyway. The woman got in. Her name was Vera. She smelled like lavender and something warm, like bread that had just been taken out of the oven. They drove in silence for half a block. Then Vera said, without looking at her, "Something's eating you." Dorothy kept her eyes on the road. "I'm fine." "You're not fine," Vera said pleasantly. "But that's all right. You don't have to tell me." Another half block. "My husband is going to do the grocery shopping from now on," Dorothy said. She hadn't planned to say it. It came out small and strange. Vera was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "And that bothers you?" "It bothers me because it was the only thing I had," Dorothy said. And then, to her horror, she started crying. Right there in the car, driving down Oak Street on a Sunday morning. "I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm saying this to you." "Because I'm a stranger," Vera said simply. "Strangers are safe." Dorothy wiped her face with the back of her hand. Vera said nothing for a moment. Then, quietly, "The grocery store isn't just a grocery store, is it?" Dorothy shook her head. Vera looked out the window. "You know," she said, "water finds a way through stone, not by force, just by being patient and finding the small places." Dorothy didn't answer. "This is my street," Vera said. Dorothy pulled over. Vera got out slowly, then turned back and looked at Dorothy through the open window. "The store isn't the only place where money moves," Vera said. "Think about where else it moves. Think about what you already touch." She smiled. It was a small smile, but it carried something in it. "Thank you for the ride, honey." She walked up the path to a house with yellow curtains. Dorothy sat there for a full minute before she drove away. "An itida uskinaki ifier vrelaskaraj." The first thing Dorothy understood was this. She had been looking at the wrong door. She had spent 2 years trying to skim money from the grocery budget, $5 here, $8 there, because the grocery budget was the only money that passed through her hands. When Gerald took the grocery shopping away, she thought the door had closed completely. But Vera's words stayed with her through the rest of Sunday and into Monday morning at the cafeteria, while she was portioning out servings of macaroni and cheese and watching the children come through the line. The store isn't the only place where money moves. Think about what you already touch. Dorothy touched money at work, not much, but she handled the cafeteria petty cash sometimes, the float they kept for small purchases, and she was the one who called in supply orders when they ran low. The head cook trusted her completely. She wasn't going to steal. That thought lasted exactly 1 second and was gone. But thinking about the cafeteria made her think about something else. The school had a small catering function coming up, a retirement party for the vice principal. The head cook had mentioned needing someone to manage the extra shopping for it, the decorative platters, the specialty items, the things that didn't come through the regular supplier. Dorothy volunteered. She was given a budget, a separate budget, her own budget to manage, and she managed it the way she had managed grocery budgets for 22 years, with precision, with creativity, with the ability to find the exact same result for 30% less money. She brought it in significantly under budget. The head cook was delighted. "You're good at this," the head cook said. Dorothy thought, "Yes, I know." The small amount she saved on that catering budget wasn't hers to keep, of course, but the recognition was something she tucked away like a seed. The second thing Dorothy understood broke her heart before it set her free. A month after Gerald took over the grocery shopping, he forgot to buy dishwasher detergent. It was such a small thing, but Dorothy was out of it, and there was no money in her hands to go buy more, and she had to hand wash every dish for a week while she waited for him to remember and go back to the store. On the 4th day of hand washing, her co-worker Linda came into the break room at the cafeteria and found Dorothy scrubbing dried cheese off a casserole dish with more force than was strictly necessary. "You okay?" Linda asked. "Fine," Dorothy said. Linda sat down. "You know my cousin," she said. "She started doing something last year. She buys gift cards." Dorothy kept scrubbing. "What do you mean?" She goes to the pharmacy or the dollar store, buys gift cards for grocery stores, pays cash, loads them up a little at a time. Her husband doesn't see it because it doesn't show up as a grocery purchase. It shows up as, miscellaneous, or she pays cash for the card itself. Dorothy stopped scrubbing. Why does she do that? Dorothy asked carefully. Linda shrugged. Same reason a lot of women do things, she said, and left it at that. Dorothy stood at the sink for a long moment. She thought about the folder in Gerald's filing cabinet. She thought about the accounts in his name only. She thought about 22 years of her paycheck going into a joint account and never once being shown where it went. She thought, this is not about distrust. This is about survival. She thought, every woman should have something that is only hers. That week, she bought her first gift card, $20. Cash she had been holding from a birthday gift from her sister. She put the card in the zippered pocket of her winter coat, the coat Gerald never touched. It felt like planting something in secret soil. But here is where the story breaks from what you might expect, because Dorothy thought that having the card would feel like freedom, and instead, it felt like fear. She lay awake that night convinced Gerald would somehow find out, that he would check her coat, that he would ask about the cash, that she would be caught doing something she couldn't explain without revealing everything, the folder she had found, the $312, the dream about the ocean, all of it. She almost took the card back. She almost gave up the whole idea before it had really begun. The third thing Dorothy understood came through a moment of humiliation she didn't see coming. Gerald's sister, Ramona, came to visit in April. Ramona was sharp-tongued and well-meaning in the way that is sometimes worse than being simply unkind. She sat at Dorothy's kitchen table and ate Dorothy's food and said, at one point, gesturing at the kitchen, "You know, Dorothy, you really should think about going back to school. Get some kind of credential. You're too smart to be cooking for children." Dorothy said, "I like my job." Ramona said, "I just mean you could do more." Gerald, from the living room, said nothing. Dorothy looked at the table, and something shifted inside her, not into sadness, but into something harder and quieter. She was already doing more. She had always been doing more. The work that kept this house running, the meals, the bills, the tracking, the managing, the making do, it was skilled work. It required intelligence and creativity and endurance. Nobody had ever given her a credential for it. Nobody had ever called it enough. She went back to the gift card that night and added $30 to it. She stopped apologizing inside her own head for what she was building. The fourth thing Dorothy understood almost destroyed her. By June, she had been adding to the gift cards steadily. She had a system, small amounts, irregular timing, always cash, always at different stores. She had $460 accumulated across 3 cards, more than she had saved in the previous 2 years combined. And then Gerald lost his job. The warehouse restructured. He came home on a Wednesday afternoon with a box of his desk things and a look on his face she had never seen before, a kind of blankness that was worse than anger. Dorothy's first feeling was compassion. Her second feeling, arriving about 30 seconds later and filling her with shame, was terror. Because she knew what was coming. Gerald would take over all financial management completely now. He would go through everything. He would scrutinize every dollar. He would find the gift cards. She thought about hiding them better. She thought about cashing them out and putting the money somewhere else. She thought about giving up entirely, spending it all on groceries and pretending it had never happened. She sat in the bathroom with the door locked and she thought, I cannot do this. I am not built for this. I am a woman who washes dishes and cooks macaroni, and I do not know how to have secrets this big. She sat there for 20 minutes. Then she thought about Vera. She thought about water finding its way through stone, not by force, just by being patient and finding the small places. She unlocked the door. She went and made dinner. She said nothing about the cards. Gerald spent the next 3 weeks at home, anxious and restless, going through the bank statements. He did not find the gift cards. He did not find the secret savings account. He found nothing, because Dorothy had been careful in ways she hadn't even fully realized until now. 3 weeks later, Gerald found a new job. Dorothy added $50 to the cards the day he started. The fifth thing Dorothy understood was the one that changed the shape of everything. By September, 9 months after she had stood in that grocery aisle doing math in her head, Dorothy had $4,700. Not in a bank account Gerald could see, not in a place that could be managed or decided upon without her. In gift cards she controlled, in a small account in her name alone, in the accumulated proof that she was capable, that she had always been capable, and that no one's decision to take the grocery shopping away could take away what she already knew how to do. She sat with that number for a long time. $4,700. 2 plane tickets to the coast, a hotel room for 4 nights, meals by the water, 2 sisters who had never seen the ocean. It was enough. But the lesson wasn't about the money. The lesson was this. She had spent 22 years believing that her financial life was something that happened to her, something managed by someone else, allocated to her in amounts decided elsewhere, flowing through her hands, but never really belonging to her. And in 9 months, working in the margins, in the small places, with no permission and no announcement, she had built something that was entirely her own. Not because she had hidden it from Gerald, but because she had finally stopped hiding it from herself. Dorothy called Pauline on a Sunday evening in late September. "I need you to keep the last week of October open," she said. Pauline said, "What? Why?" "Because we're going to see the ocean," Dorothy said. There was a silence on the line. Then Pauline said, in a voice that was very small and very careful, "Dorothy, how?" "I've been saving," Dorothy said. "But I thought Gerald." "I've been saving," Dorothy said again, "in my own way, and I have enough." Another silence. Then Pauline started crying, and Dorothy started crying, and they stayed on the phone for an hour talking about nothing and everything, about their mother and the diner, and the way the light used to come through the kitchen window in the house they grew up in. Dorothy did not tell Gerald about the savings method. She told him she had been putting aside small amounts from her work bonus, which was partly true, and that she wanted to take her sister on a trip, and that she was going to pay for it herself. He looked at her for a long moment. "How much do you have?" he asked. "Enough," she said. He started to say something. She waited, very quietly, and there was something in her stillness that was new, something that had not been there a year ago, and he must have felt it because he stopped. "Okay," he said. They went in the last week of October. Dorothy and Pauline, 2 women from rural Ohio who had grown up believing that the ocean was the kind of thing that happened to other people. They stood at the water's edge on the first morning, and Pauline grabbed Dorothy's hand, and they didn't say anything for a very long time. The women Dorothy worked with noticed something different when she came back. Linda said, "You look different." The head cook said, "You seem taller somehow." Dorothy laughed at that. She wasn't taller. She just wasn't folded over anymore. 6 months after the trip, Dorothy was in the break room at the cafeteria when a younger woman named Keisha came in and sat down heavily in the chair across from her and put her face in her hands. Keisha was 31. She had 2 small children and a husband who handled the money, and a look on her face that Dorothy recognized, the way you recognize a road you have walked before. Dorothy put a cup of coffee in front of her without being asked. Keisha looked up. "I feel stupid," she said. "I feel like I should know how to handle this better. I feel like a grown woman shouldn't be this scared about money." Dorothy sat down. She didn't say, "Let me tell you about a method." She didn't say, "Here are 5 steps." She didn't say, "I know exactly how you feel." She said, "You're not stupid. You're just in a situation that was built to make you feel that way." Keisha looked at her. "The grocery store isn't just a grocery store," Dorothy said quietly. Keisha frowned. "What does that mean?" Dorothy smiled. It was a small smile. She thought about a yellow coat. She thought about lavender and warm bread, and a woman who had said everything important in about 4 sentences. "Think about what you already touch," Dorothy said. "Think about where money already moves through your hands. You have more access than you think." She didn't say anything else. She let the silence do its work. Keisha sat with it for a moment. Then she said slowly, "My sister and I have been talking about doing a little thing, making things and selling them at the church fair." "Start there," Dorothy said. Keisha nodded. Something had shifted in her face. Dorothy got up and rinsed her coffee cup. At the door she paused. "Every woman should have something that is only hers," she said. "Not because she doesn't trust, but because she is a person, and a person needs ground to stand on that belongs to them." She went back to work. She thought about Vera on the bench outside the church in the yellow coat. She thought about how you receive something and carry it, and eventually you pass it to someone else, and you don't even know where it goes from there. Water finding its way through stone, not by force, just by being patient. Dorothy never stopped the method. She never made it dramatic. She never announced it. She just kept building, slowly, steadily, in the margins, in the small places, in the quiet intelligence she had always had and had simply stopped apologizing for. And now I want to ask you something. Have you ever stood in a grocery store aisle putting things back because the math didn't work? Have you ever felt like the money in your life flows through your hands but doesn't really belong to you? Have you ever had a dream, a specific, small, real dream that kept getting pushed to the very last position on a list that never got any shorter? You are not bad with money. You are not irresponsible. You are not dramatic about it. You are a woman who has been doing the math alone for a very long time. And you deserve to have something that is only yours. Comment right here, day 1, and tell me what you are going to do today, just one thing, just for you. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. I want to read every single one. If this story touched something in you, send it to a sister, a friend, a woman you know who is standing in that aisle right now, putting things back, doing the math in her head, wondering if there is a door that is still open. There is always a door that is still open. You just have to be patient enough to find the small places. I'll be right here.